Hi everyone, it's Nicole here for Honeybee Stamps with a no Probllama birthday card to share with you that features not only this adorable little llama all decked out with his sombrero and blanket, but a custom stamped background, which we're actually going to start with first. All of the stamps for this card come from one single stamp set. It's kind of a fun challenge to sometimes just take a single stamp set and see what all you can do with it. I'm also a huge fan of creating custom backgrounds, and this one I decided to kind of do a pattern that is not exactly random. It's got cacti going one way, cacti going the other, and I'm going to repeat this single image all over the background. I am using my MISTI because this really helps. If I have to stamp something more than once, then I can line it up really easily. And I also want to make sure I fill in the sides, the top, everywhere on this background so that it really looks like a piece of paper I've trimmed down. And I'm just using a snippet of it for my background on my card. This is going to perfectly coordinate with my llama because everything from this stamp set comes together. So it's just a really great, easy way to create a custom background. Now, while I have my MISTI out, while I am stamping everything, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the images I'm going to use to embellish my card, which is the llama, the sombrero, and the blanket. And then I am going to customize my background even further. I decided to go ahead and grab the little flower and stamp some of those throughout the design, just kind of here and there. Just depends, wherever. And then I'm going to start coloring in my background. We're going to do the background first. I have picked 3 colors of green markers, G82, 94, and 99. And I'm simply going to color in all of the cactus here, all the cacti, before I do finishing details. One of the best things you can do is to really kind of think about this as creating a background paper. And the way I like to think of it is kind of doing the images first. If they need a shadow or the background needs something, then I go in and I will add whatever that might be. Sometimes it's stamping a light text or image over this just to kind of fill in the white space. Sometimes it's adding those little images like the little flower here. I'm outlining my cacti with the G000 marker. This is going to give it a really light shadow all the way around. I'm going to take my darkest marker, the G99, and go over all of the little spikes here on the cacti and really draw attention to those. You can see what a big difference that makes when I do that just to this one compared to the ones I haven't done yet. And then finally, I'm going to take one of my markers and make little dot designs all over. This is what I did instead of stamping a background or adding text or whatever it might be, because I kind of thought that might take away from the overall design, but I still felt like that white space needed a little something. So for me, I went ahead and just took the tip of my marker and made little dots all over. I used to be a scrapbooker, and back in those days, one of my very not probably, but my favorite thing was pattern paper. And as a stamper, creating my own is one of my very favorite things. I love being able to take our supplies and use them not only to create darling scenes and, you know, focal points on cards, but creating our own backgrounds. I love this cactus background. I think it's super, super fun. After I had done this, and obviously the colors are a little bolder and brighter, I think it would be really fun to try this then with some lighter markers and do a very muted cacti background. And I'm kind of looking forward to trying that sometime in the future. So here are all those little dots I was talking about. I tried to work in small areas and just kind of work my way up and out so I don't miss anywhere, because it'll definitely show. And since we are creating a pattern paper, it's pretty important to make sure that it looks kind of uniform. Filling in, I really did this super fast, no specific rhyme or reason, just kind of touching that tip to the paper, some bigger dots, some littler dots, until that entire thing is filled in. Then we want to color in our llama and the accessories. So we'll move our background to the sides. I'm going to grab my E40, 43, and 44, even a little E47, and color in my llama. I like to give it a nice base coat. This is a light color. In fact, that light color is not going to be seen a whole lot other than the belly of the llama, but it gives a nice starting point for blending out our colors. I like to always kind of err on the side of lighter because you can always go darker, but it's really hard to lighten up if you get it too dark. So I started really light, kept kind of blending, adding in those colors. And here I decided let's go a little darker with E43 pretty much overall, blending out that belly with E40, and then going in with E44 to darken up more areas. And you can do this as many times as you need to. In fact, when I originally did this and added the E43 then to blend out E44, it blended it more than I really wanted. I still wanted some of those darker areas, so I can go back with my marker and kind of color that in. A little R00 for the insides of the ears. I thought I'd do that for the cheeks. Did not work. Did not look good. Blended that back out. And then I'll go in with my darker markers, E44 and E47. I did come back with that and add some texture, some dot detail, and really give my cute little llama some interest. For the blanket, I decided I wanted to go really bright and colorful. We've got the greens for the background. We've got the neutrals for the llama. I really felt like I needed a pop of color. So we're going to have a striped blanket that's got red, pink, yellow, orange, and blue. Definitely going bright here. We'll do the same thing for the sombrero. And then to make our sentiment pop, we want to stamp and emboss that on black cardstock to make it stand out. If you wanted, you could take some honeybee banners. I simply stamped my sentiment instead of die cutting a banner, but that would be a fun option as well. Let's get this all colored in, and then we'll die cut everything with the coordinating dies before we get to that greeting. This is really a great opportunity to pick any of your favorite colors and brighten up and add that pop to the card design. So cute. I love these images. Very fun. This stamp set was one of the requested stamp sets that people asked that they wanted to see me create something with, and so this is the first card I've made with this. This is from the latest release from Honeybee. I love all their little critters. The size of their images are also amazing. If you love coloring in something a little bit more substantial, their images always have a great size to them, so you're not trying to color in something teeny tiny, which I know a lot of you really love. Now, once I have everything die cut, I am going to take a black jelly roll pen and go over the eyes and the nose on that llama because it really makes them pop. And then to help make this llama pop off of a very busy background, I'm going to adhere it with some foam adhesive squares. And I need to figure out something. I like to make sure the entire back of the image has some foam adhesive because it lays a lot nicer. So I'm just trimming one of the big ones into thirds and then using that on the ears of the llama. And make sure none of that is showing through because that'll kind of ruin the whole look. And then let's peel off the backing paper. And pop this. I want to kind of center it on my card, but up near the top. Just be conscious if you, wherever you want to put your greeting. So for me, I wanted to put the greeting underneath, kind of grounding the llama so he's standing on top of that greeting strip. So I left enough room so that it's kind of going to be an equal distance from the tip of the ears to the top of the card and then from the bottom of the sentiment. So while he looks a little off here, once I add that sentiment, it should look really balanced as far as the critter goes. And then I'm just going to go in, add some little white highlights, add some white highlights to the center of the eyes, to some little dots to the cheek, add some detail to the blanket, add some little dots here. I think that adds another fun element, especially to a card that is, other than a lot of coloring, very simple in design. Always one of my favorite finishing details. And then we'll go ahead and grab another birthday greeting from the No Probllama stamp set. I'm going to I have a piece of black cardstock here, use my powder tool, stamp this with a clear embossing ink, sprinkle on a little white embossing powder, and heat set this. Once it's heat set and cool, I'm going to just trim this into a thin strip that I can then adhere underneath my llama. Because I have attached the llama with foam adhesive squares, I want to attach my sentiment with foam adhesive squares as well, so that it all kind of is the same layer, same level, I guess you want to say. It also helps that sentiment pop up off of that background. Really makes it the focal point of this design, where the background is just the supporting cast, if you will. Again, I'm going to grab probably the smaller of the two sizes of foam adhesive squares that I'm using, pop this on the back, and then just tuck it kind of right underneath his feet to make it a really nice cohesive design. And then I decided to go ahead and go into the background and take my white pen and add detail and highlights all over. And this is yet again another way to really take that design to the next level. It really adds some fun interest, detail, makes everything coordinate really well. No rhyme or reason. I just kind of went through and added some little dots, some little lines to all of the cacti images. They definitely are not matchy-matchy. I did not do the same thing on all of them. Just kind of random here and there. Now, once I have all of my little lines for everything, I want to adhere this whole panel to the front of a top fold card base. The reason I did not stamp the cacti on the card base itself is with Copic markers, they're alcohol ink-based markers, they will bleed through the card, and I do not want the recipient to see that bleed through. So I always like to do it on a separate panel and then attach that panel to my card base itself, so that when you open up the card, you have this beautiful, clean look inside. And because this is the No Probllama stamp set, oh, adding some little eyelashes, I did want to mention that real quick. I added eyelashes with a fine tip black pen. Because it's the No Probllama stamp set, I took the No Probllama sentiment, and I am going to stamp this with black ink inside of the card. So my greeting is going to be another birthday question mark, No Probllama. Really fun, very cute, punny, and definitely a fun way to send a birthday card. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this No Probllama birthday card featuring honeybee stamps. Please be sure to visit the Honeybee blog for more information and for lots of inspiration. Thanks for watching.